booktube. How are you? 2018 has been a weird time. There's been an amazing amount of mermaid books. I don't know what it is, but just an amazing amount. And me being me is I had as a child a slight obsession with mermaids, which has never quite left me. I've read a lot of them and here they are basically. I decided to pick 4 that I like the most rather than all of them, because there are countless others. I've read some very dire ones and I've read some very good ones, but I decided to pick 4 of the best. So here's 4 books about mermaids. So the first one is The Mermaid. This one took me time to really get into because I read something really good before this and I had to kind of separate it, and it was very difficult. Once there was a fisherman who lived on a cold and rocky coast and was never able to convince any woman to come away and live in this forbidden place with him. One evening he pulls up his net and finds a woman in it, a woman with black hair and eyes as grey as a stormy sea, and a glimmering fish's tail instead of legs. This is very good. It's very dark. It's kind of a dark it's a dark fairy tale basically, and definitely does an amazing. It's very well written, and I genuinely enjoy her work. The Red Queen, Lost Boys, for example. I genuinely enjoy this writer's work, and definitely one that definitely struck me. This took me a few reads before it really sunk in. I don't know why. I think it's one of those books I had to be in the mood for. The Surface Breaks. This is a retelling of The Little Mermaid. It's marketed as a YA book, but I really don't think this book should be marketed as a YA book at all. And I think the only reason it gets put in the YA category is the age of the mermaid. It's quite dark, it's quite brutal, it's quite violent. There's sexual violence, there's physical violence. It's fascinating, and it's a very interesting take on The Little Mermaid. I inhaled this book. A lot of the marketing of this book was a feminist retelling, and I do actually agree with that, just because it kind of flips the notion of The Little Mermaid on its head, because I think people are more familiar with the Disney version where she never actually learns a lesson and gets what she wants. Or in the Hans Christian Andersen story, she dies and becomes, well, in 2 endings, there's 2 endings to Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid. One is she dies to sea foam, and the other one is ceases to exist, and the other one is a rewrite later. He added an ending where she earns the ability to earn a soul and becomes a daughter of the air, because she cannot kill the prince. Even though he didn't love her, she still loved him. This flips both of those on its head, and I can definitely feel the Disney influence in this, but I still think this was marketed wrong. This should never have been a YA book. I wouldn't be happy with a 13-year-old reading this book, 13, 14-year-old girl reading this book, or boy, because it's definitely, this is an adult book. That's one thing I will say. This is definitely an adult book, and I love it. This is not about Fish Lady. This is about one of those weird freak show things which are like a monkey and a fish sewn together, that were fake mummies and found, and that's what this is about. And it's set within the 17th century, and it was written by the writer of this is fantastic, and I can't wait for her next book. I was very fortunate to meet her at the Derby Book Festival, and she signed my book, which was really lovely, and she's very sweet, and she came across as actually quite shy. She's a very intelligent woman, but quite soft-spoken and quite a people watcher, and I liked her. But this is a fantastic novel. It's basically everything that goes wrong. Things go wrong, people change, you see what chaos things can bring. There's some sex in this book, given the fact that it's set in the 17th century. Which surprises me. Basically, someone knocks on this guy's door in the wee hours of the morning because a mermaid has turned up. And I really do think if you love literary fiction, this is definitely one to look into. And finally, The Oyster Thief. This is a completely different book to those. This is pure fantasy. This is a fantasy novel. I was sent this by the publisher and I inhaled it in a few days. It's fantastically written. So the story is quite simple. It's two parallel stories, one of the mermaid and one of the human. And I don't want to say too much because I want to cover this in a different video. But I've never quite read a fantasy novel like this at all. And it's genuinely quite surprising. I kind of went into this with a little bit of trepidation because me and fantasy are an odd mix, but this kind of hits all those right notes for me. So yeah, it's been kind of a year of mermaid books. In all, actually, I went through, because I've got a lot on my Kindle, I went through them and I was like, oh, I've read an amazing amount of books about fish ladies and fish people. So yes, tell me what you think. Have you read any great mermaid fiction or anything about that? Because that would be interesting to find out, because I don't know if it's just me, but there's been a sudden rush of books with a certain under the sea theme. Now I have the Little Mermaid soundtrack stuck in my head. Anyway, tell me what you think, guys, and like and subscribe as always, and I will talk to you guys later.